Hey everybody, this is John from Bash, and today I am bringing you another proRevenge Reddit video. If you are new to the channel, then subscribe and ring that notifications bell so you don't miss out on the fun. In our first story, Unscrupulous Landlord thinks I owe 8 months of rent. Let's jump right in. This took place during the middle of 2018. Me, my wife, and 3 kids were looking for a new place to rent because our current renter was selling and had given us a 60 days notice to move. During this time, my wife's mother had a friend, let's call him Sam. Sam had a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house that he was in the middle of remodeling to get ready to sell. Because of this, certain parts of the house, like some of the walls, weren't fully painted and some of the floors were old. At the current time, my family really needed a place to stay, and our budget wouldn't allow us to rent any places over $1,000 a month. Keep in mind, I am a disabled veteran and have a lot of time to sit and research things when I need to. First part, signing the lease and getting the keys. During the lease signing, we went over to the house for Sam to point out all the things that were being worked and what things weren't complete when we were moving in. For example, the kitchen floor was being replaced, the kitchen counter, carpet was being added throughout the whole house, currently all wood floors. When we got there, we pointed out that there was still trash all over the floor and bug traps all over the ground. He assured us that it would all be cleaned before we moved in, so we hand over our deposit and signed the lease for $1,000 a month. He says that he is going on vacation out of state and won't be back for 6 months, but that the contractors will be stopping by to work on the house. He leaves me a list of the work that is going to be done, and then we wait. Move-in date. 3 days later, we are given the go-ahead that we are able to move in and that he will be back in 6 months. We arrive at the house to find his 2 cars and motorcycle in the driveway with nowhere but the street for us to park. This becomes very important later in court. The house is still just as dirty as the day we signed the lease, but with us really needing a place to stay, me and my wife just take pictures and note everything wrong and get to cleaning. Now remember, this was a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. However, the owner left so much stuff in the house that the 4th bedroom was filled from wall to wall with junk. We decided to just close that door and not use the room. Keep in mind that because we didn't have access to the room because of the owner-landlord, we were allowed to deduct that room from the rent. This deduction of rent becomes a pattern soon. Living there. Now, we lived there a total of 9 months. During the first 6 months, we tried to get a hold of the landlord by phone with a way to pay rent, but we never got a reply from him after the day we got the keys, so everything that went wrong we just kept track of. Place had bugs, nails sticking out of the floors, and many other hazards. Finally, on the 7th month, Sam returns from his vacation out of state and retrieves one of the cars in the drive. Tells us he is sorry for not responding and tells us we will figure out the rent and fixing my issues over the next week. By month 8, I still haven't paid him anything as I sent him a letter stating that I would be holding rent until the safety issues with the house are fixed. Where we live, this is legal. During this time, instead of just fixing the issues and then getting rent from me, we are served with an eviction notice. Keep in mind, we have kept record of everything wrong with this house, including everything to code. Time in court. The first red flag in the eviction is the copy of the lease that was attached. It was an altered copy of the original I still had, so the documents didn't even match. So let's do a little math. Each month I withheld rent, I gave a detailed invoice of all the charges I'm reducing the rent by. I send all of this in the return on the eviction, and guess who shows up to the house 5 days before court? You bet, it's Sam. He starts yelling at the front door, telling me to give him my debit card so that he can go get my rent out right now. I calmly tell him that even though he is the owner and landlord, that under the current laws he must give me a 24-hour notice before being on the property unless it is an emergency. I call the cops so that I can document that he showed up and tried to scare me into giving him money on the spot. 5 days later, we show up at court and his lawyer walks over to me and presents me with a deal. He tells me that his client, Sam, would like to just have me move out in 2 weeks and call the debt even. I say no thank you and we can talk about it with the judge. I present everything on my side. hundreds of photos and invoices from each month about my rent reduction, plus all the safety violations. 1. Room no access, $250 a month for 9 months. 2. Work cleaning and taking care of the pool. It was in the lease to have a pool guy who never showed, $100 a month for 9 months. 3. Lawn care, also in the lease to be provided, $50 a month for 9 months. 4. Storage for one motorcycle, $25 a day for 9 months. 5. Storage for a car, $55 a day for 9 months. 6. Storage for another car, $55 a day for 7 months. He picked this one up after his vacation. Safety violations, no CO2 detector in the house, no working smoke alarms, all windows are supposed to have screens and most were broken or missing. Because of the pool and no fence around it, the back door needed an alarm to beep when opened, a county safety code. Exposed wires on most electric outlets, ceiling fans not installed but wires just exposed, improper foundation for the rear stairs leading out back door, no license for enclosed backyard room. Had a 30-foot by 20-foot area off the back door which was enclosed by a screened area. The county required a license for anything that was attached to the house. Also, the piled up junk in the 4th bedroom was considered a fire hazard. Now, I picked the rate per day to store the vehicles at the house because legally I could have had them towed off the property even though they are the owners. This is the rate the impound lot would have charged per day if the vehicles were in their lot. This added up to a total invoice of $36,750, the $9,000 owed for rent leaving $27,750 owed. After hearing both sides, the judge ruled in my favor, giving my landlord 3 options. The first was he could pay me $9,999, which is the max allowed in small claims court here, and I would have 7 days to be off the property. 2, he could give me a normal 30 days notice to vacate and I wouldn't pay anything, and he would return my deposit in full within 24 hours after the keys are returned. Or 3, I could continue to live there but no rent would be owed until all safety issues were fixed and his stuff on the property removed. He chose to go with option 2. On a side note, I found out from my wife's mother about a year after we moved out, some of the shady upgrades he did to the house caused a house fire and burned it down. This wasn't anything I did, but it felt so good to know that karma gets you in the end. Story 2, a lesson to show how to get your service provider to fix your internet. This happened around 2012. Back then I used to live in Southern Europe, one of the Mediterranean countries. I was a university student in a remote rural place. I had just moved to a new apartment and naturally my first order of business was to make sure that I had a running internet connection. The problem was that due to the place I was living in being so remote, there was only one ISP provider available. You didn't like the provider? Too bad. Anyway, I signed the necessary paperwork in time, moved to the new place, set up the router and all, and thankfully my connection is fine. That is until day 3 or 4, when out of nowhere my internet connection dies. But my phone line was working normally. Okay, no probs. I call the ISP to open a ticket. The representative tells me that they will get back to me soon. A few days pass by and I get nothing, so I decide to call them again. The representative tells me that they are still investigating the problem and that they will get back to me soon. Now, this is the point where I'm starting to get frustrated. I know that the internet in the area is fine. In fact, my next door neighbor's internet connection is great, so the problem must be something that is easily fixable, right? Wrong. A week has passed by and I call them again. This time, the representative tells me that they have investigated the issue and the problem is officially of unknown origin, which means that they cannot give me an ETA for the fix. I hang up the phone feeling sad and perplexed. As I contemplate my internetless existence, the representative's words echo in my mind. Unknown origin. We cannot give you an ETA. Slowly, my sadness transforms into denial. How is this possible? My phone connection still works, so the line is still there, and I know for a fact that everyone in the area has a stable internet connection. This must be a simple bug that is easily fixable. This can only mean one thing: some mofo has not been doing his job correctly. The denial becomes anger. How dare they tell me that they cannot give me an ETA? This should be illegal. What if my job depends on my internet connection? Not to mention that internet access is a basic human right. They are denying me my rights by not giving me an ETA. At this point, the issue stops being the internet connection, it's about the principle of the matter. As a human being and a customer, I am entitled to an ETA. I call the ISP again and I try to explain my flawless reasoning. No luck. The poor representative who listens to my rant tells me that the only thing I can do is to open a new ticket. Shocked by my inability to define my fate, I accept his offer and hang up. And then a magnificent idea is born. Since the only thing that I can do is to open a new ticket, then this is exactly what I'm going to do. From that point on, I was calling my ISP provider 2 to 5 times per day. Each time, I was telling the representative the same thing. This is what has happened. I know that there are multiple tickets with my name on them already, but I want you to open a new one. Most of the representatives were pretty amused by my story. Everyone complied. A month later, yes, a full month passed without the issue having been fixed, I get a call from the regional tech executive of the ISP. The call goes like this. First, a long angry rant. You must stop opening tickets. You're flooding our ticketing system. More long angry rant. At first, I was shocked at how aggressive the executive was. He was clearly one step away from starting to call me names, and I knew that the only reason this didn't happen was that these calls are being recorded. And then my shock transformed into a visible, glorious happiness. You see, my friends, this is the point when I realized that I was winning. Well, are you going to give me an ETA for a fix? We cannot give you an ETA. The problem is of unknown origin. Then I guess I'll keep opening tickets. The executive hangs up. To cut a long story short, this exchange renewed my passion for crushing the souls of those who have wronged me, so I kept opening tickets at the same pace for another 30 to 40 days. I estimate that in the course of the total, about 70 days, that this lasted, I must have opened more than 250 tickets. One day my phone rings, I pick it up, and it's an ISP representative who tells me this. Mr. Lexmead, is this you? Your problem has been solved. Everyone at the ISP is talking about you. Indeed, on that day, my internet connection was back. The cool part about this, however, was that I had internet all along. Remember my next door neighbor? She was kind enough to let me know her Wi-Fi password from day one. This is John from Bash. Please hit that like button to help with the almighty YouTube algorithm and subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.